I am Bill McMullen, and this is my wife Marianne, and we are longtime members of the Wright-Hennepin Co-op. My grandfather walked from house to house in the 1930s, encouraging people to sign up for the rural electrification program of Franklin Roosevelt. So we have been original members since the 1930s. Technically, my wife and I joined in 1988 when we took over the farm. We bought our Nissan Leaf electric vehicle in December of 2012. So we have a Model 13 vehicle, and we were an early adopter. So early that we ended up having to buy it in Texas and have it shipped up to Minnesota because Nissan wasn't releasing the Leaf into Minnesota at that time. Well, we have been always environmentally conscious and like the idea of an all-electric car versus a gasoline burner. And we researched it, and we saw where Nissan was coming out with this moderately priced electric vehicle with a 100-mile range. And we said that would fit our needs for driving around the Twin Cities, going to downtown Minneapolis or the airport, Buffalo, places like that. So we thought it would be a nice, basically second car, although it really is our primary car except on long trips. We simply just called an electrician who got in touch with the co-op and put in a 220 volt, I believe it's a 20 amp breaker, dedicated breaker for the car, and then there is a charging unit that attaches to that, and you're good to go. With the off-peak program, our cost of transportation is basically a penny a mile. So when gas, when we bought the car, was about $5 a gallon, we were getting the equivalent of 500 miles per gasoline equivalent. Now with gas at $2.50, we're only getting 250 miles to the gallon equivalent, but still it's a pretty good setup. Well, it's pretty simple. You just plug it in at night and you have it set on a timer so it charges overnight. We start at midnight and it shuts off when it's full. And then we drive it that day, and typically we aren't driving more than 60 miles in a day, and so it's for use around town. My wife Marianne uses it to drive to the library or the post office or whatever, and then at night again, if we've driven it quite a bit, then we'll plug it in and charge it up again, or if we've only driven a little bit, we don't even have to charge it that night. Our model is a little bit cold. However, you have the benefit of being able to have it hooked up to the grid and pre-warm the car before you leave. So you can have the car nice and toasty warm when you get into it, and then when you leave, you can run the heater and maintain a fairly comfortable environment. The new ones are great. We were an early adopter, so we got one where the Nissan hadn't quite figured out how to handle a cold Minnesota winter. We do have it in a garage. I would say that in Minnesota, if you're going to get an electric vehicle, you almost have to have a garage, inside garage where you can park it. Not so much a heated garage, but just a garage that keeps it from getting 20 below on those cold nights. I think the most important thing is to understand your range and how far you need to go between charges. There are plenty of charging stations out there, like in Minneapolis at the public library, at Lund's and Byerly's, the Goodwill store. A lot of these places give you electricity for free. But you could get to one of these places and there could be another car getting charged, so you'd be out of luck. So you really need to know your range and how to manage it. The Chevy Bolt has an over 200-mile range. The Teslas have fabulous range. The Nissan is now above 100 miles. I think the BMW is above 100 miles. So if you have that, and then know that in the winter you need to chop off about 25 to 30% of the range. And it doesn't seem like much, but it's a big difference. Also, when you're buying an electric vehicle, is just like the MPG they put on the sticker, probably need to discount that a little bit because it won't be quite as good as they promise. We've had the car for 6 years. We have spent $70 on maintenance in 6 years. There's no oil to change. We did change the brake fluid because it has regenerative braking, and it says to change it every 2 years, and I figured after 5 years we ought to change it. It looked clean, but I changed it. We did buy some floor mats, and that's basically it.
goes really fast.
Oh, and it goes very fast. Our torque is just 100% from the get-go. Well, I think that the electric car transformation is slowly happening. In 25 years, almost all cars will be electric.